So if something is not working, the stars are doing something, and we must do something to fix the stars so that things will begin to work.
Right.
My basic premise is stars do not
Cannot be fixed.
control your destiny. Your destiny is not controlled by the stars. Not at all, not to the farthest.
Welcome to Whips and Chains. So, life's numerous problems, whether it's health related, marriage related, love, relationship, career, money, often we kind of seek help from the outside to predict what will our future be. There is curiosity, there is concern, there is a lot of energy that we spend towards wanting to know what the future holds. So my guest today actually is an expert in that field, but I haven't called him here just because he's an astrologist. He is also a scholar, he is an author, he has studied, and he is a big advocate of the Himalayan school of yoga meditation. He is also my Guru Bhai, and we used to visit the same ashram when life was different for me and him. And now he is here in the capacity of answering a whole lot of questions that I have for him and what he does. So welcome, Pawan, and thank you so much for being here. And it's not only a pleasure to have you because we go back so long, but I know that, since that time, you have actually achieved all the things that, we were talking about and discussing in those days, right? So welcome. It's lovely having you here.
Namaste. I'm so happy to be here. And while you were introducing me, I actually went back so many years.
Yes.
And those days when Fiza wrote that poem,
Yes.
our lovely daughter,
Yes.
and that poem at that time took permission, and we were just envisioning the book to be coming out, Living
That's
Hanuman.
right. That's right. My daughter's poem is in your book.
In that book.
She
there.
wrote it when she was 9. That's true.
And life is as wise or as simple as a 9-year-old girl
Yes.
can be.
Yes, that's actually true, and it's also very telling about the kind of stance and the kind of approach one must have
Yes.
to living one's life. And
Yes.
otherwise, we are constantly caught up in so much drama
Yes.
normally, and we have so many filters with which we see life
Yes.
through. But you have sort of found a consistent way because you committed to a certain practice, and you have found a consistent way to add layers upon layers to your core, and you have come so far. So I'm very happy for you, and I'm very proud of what you have achieved. And I really want to tell the people who are watching, I want to give them an understanding of really, number one, how you got to this place as a person, and then of course all the different remedies and services that you offer. So let's start at the beginning and tell me that I remember from our conversations, you had a very strong spiritual call, even when you were very young, right? So can you tell me a little bit about that?
As mentioned in the beginning, the call ticks and pulses even in a 9-year-old, and even before that. So with me also, the pulse of spirituality, if we can call it, was throbbing from a very early age. But the earliest I do remember is around 7, when we have the thread ceremony, Janayu.
Yeah.
And that started the process. I was exposed firsthand to mantras I was exposed firsthand to doing something in the fire, and it was something very special, and all the ceremonies that happened with it. That, I guess, ticked and triggered me.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was the whip.
Yeah, it's so
and,
nice.
and the chain was the thread.
Thread. Right,
Huh?
right.
The
So
chain.
it's great that you see, the spiritual whip and chain, because
Yes.
I think the whole journey of self-reflection, self-understanding, and figuring out to what extent am I going to follow a certain path, or what
Yes.
extent am I going to deviate,
Yes.
is actually about, how every individual shapes their own character,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes. And if you were to look at the word whip, if you look at closely the way it is written, instead of I, if you made it Y,
Right.
it would still be whip.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is the spiritual whip.
Yeah.
The urge to ask the question why
Yeah. Yeah.
about what is happening around. Normally, we don't ask that question.
Right.
So that's the spiritual whip, the why question,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the exploration behind that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you went from being a journalist. You were actually a journalist yourself, right?
I want to correct you. I was not a journalist, but I was in the support staff.
Okay.
I was in business and in the business department,
Okay.
which is equivalent to operations, you can say.
Yeah.
Materials management.
But you were with like a newspaper. So you were
That's
you
Exposed.
were as sort of exposed and out in the real world and in the media and all of that. But then you had this terrible accident,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And in your whole process of recovery, that again reminded you that
Yes.
this is not the path meant for you.
Yes.
Right? Can you talk about that transition, and also that a lot of us have certain transitions, right?
Yes.
But a few of us take that road.
Yes.
Yeah. So what happened to you?
For me, I had two back-to-back lay downs. I can call my life between those two accidents as if between parentheses,
Right.
starting from 1996 to the year 2000. 1996, the first accident, 2000, the second accident, and life between this was everything that could be transformative. I won't say everything that could go wrong,
Yeah.
but all the transformative catalysts were contained in that, which will include business failures, lawsuits, everything that could have happened in that time. And these two accidents also were not, they don't sound terrible, but the impact were very, very profound.
Yeah.
So the first accident was a yoga accident. And here I may caution everybody who do yoga. There was nothing wrong in the posture that I had taken. It is known as the half fish pose, Ardha Matsyendra Asana. You go back, you twist your neck and whatever, and can stay there. But the big problem that I did not envisage and what I took very lightly was doing it in a rush, doing it just before going to office. And then my brother came from somewhere, from a trip, and he wants to tell me something. I said, okay, sit down here and tell me everything about the trip while I'm doing yoga.
Oh, okay.
And then he said something which was so funny that I could not contain my laughter. And I laughed into an accident. In that position, I could not get out and I burst laughing. So my lower back, lumbar disc all prolapsed.
That is actually something that can happen to anyone.
Anyone.
And we don't think.
Yes.
We don't think
If
of
you
that.
are in a yoga, if you're doing yoga, ideally shut the door.
Yeah.
Don't let your dog run in through because he might be excited. He might want to
Yes.
climb and you might fall down.
Yeah.
Don't let your child talk to you. You might get distracted. You might, if you lose your balance
that.
even by a thread of a hair, you will damage your nerves and muscles. So it was just a lesson, by the way, and I remembered it today
Yeah.
while you pointed it out.
Yeah.
But that was the first side of the parenthesis that made me lose my job, lay in bed for about 6 months
Wow.
flat. And then the big overconfidence. If I can make millions for my company, I can certainly make it for myself. And without any planning or anything, just jumped into business and failed in many
Miserably.
businesses. Trusted people blindly. I'm not saying you should not trust, but sure, blind trust can get you into a
Yeah.
ditch,
Yeah.
just as a blind man can drop into a
Right.
ditch. Huh?
Right.
So all of that happened due to poor planning, misplaced trust and emotions, all of that. Finally landed up with a job to pay back all my debts. But here is a very sweet intervention. So while I was working and paying all my debts in the year 2000, in the year 1999, on my birthday, I created a vision statement for myself. And in that, I wrote what I want to do and signed it out. But that moment was so powerful that played out. The vision statement included my wish not to be in a corporate environment, but to be free of it, to be able to work on my own and help people through astrology.
Wow.
So this was December 1999. Come February, in January, I paid up all my debts. So February was my first free month when I would have got my salary. But right in the beginning of February, just around these days,
Yeah.
as we are
Yeah.
having this interview just in the next couple of days, boom, I had a little accident in the car. Very little. A cow was crossing. I
Okay.
braked the car
Okay.
and my neck went back. Nothing happened to the cow, but my neck had a whiplash injury. And
Wow.
again, I was laid up for
Oh,
about
wow.
6 months.
Wow.
So I lost this job. During that time, out of reflection, out of my heart's desire to pursue another way of earning my livelihood, all of that put together, once I stood up, I started with astrology, which I self-learned during those days. And you would know probably that I was until that time was doing palmistry.
Yes.
Was
Yes.
since early childhood.
Yes.
Since I was
Yes.
11.
Yes.
So now I just said palmistry is too subjective. Let me learn astrology,
Yeah.
which is more so-called scientific.
So-called.
At that time, I felt so. Palmistry is also as scientific, and I learned it. And
But you have, apart from the astrology and palmistry, you also do psycho-spiritual remedies,
that's right.
right? So tell me a little bit about that, because that is something that, all of us are seeking solutions
Yes.
with life's problems, and
Yes.
life's problems are complex.
Yes.
And sometimes we know that answers don't lie in what we see.
Yes.
They lie in what we don't see.
Yes.
They lie in the energy sphere. And we understand the energy sphere because everything is energy, right? So tell me a little bit about that aspect.
Well, it's like this, that I use astrology as a very sacred tool to understand a very sacred inner instrument, commonly known as the mind. It's a sacred instrument. It's a very subtle instrument. In the yoga psychology, it is known as antahkaran, the inner instrument. That's the exact translation. And it is the mind which leads us to making choices. Those choices create consequences. Those consequences are again experienced, and the cycle goes back into the mind. So astrology is a very potent and a beautiful tool, sophisticated tool to look into the mind. And once we get a good understanding of the mind, we can identify problems and we can identify remedies, what you call. In fact, in my consultations, I actually write RX.
Yes.
You
I
too.
know that. Yes. Yes.
So, though it sounds again prescriptive at this point in time, but somewhere or the other, you have to arrive at some to-dos
Yeah.
and you have to treat them more or less as non-negotiable if you want to arrive at a non-negotiable consequence of a clean mind, of a happy mind, of a mind which is now manifesting and experiencing success in what you wish to.
Right.
So
Right.
upstream, you also have to have a certain commitment to certain choices that you would make out of a certain judgment that you make, and therefore, in a lighter vein, we can call it prescriptive or
Yeah. Yeah.
receipt down.
I think one thing that strikes me personally, and also I think a lot of people who dabble with these sort of esoteric practices, is that we often don't want to make the effort to change ourselves, right? And then it's very easy for us to project the dissatisfaction we have with the solution or the remedy not working out on the person who has given it,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So in a sense, you're also playing the role of the school mom or the teacher that people don't like, or
Yes.
because you're saying ye karo and they're saying ki nahi, ye nahi karenge, something else, but you
Yes.
know, you still give us that solution.
Not only that, behind that, I would want to be pardoned for saying this, but collectively, we are a society of, or culturally, we are trained to be victims.
Right.
So we are not trained to take responsibilities. We are trained to be victims of or followers of something that is beyond our hands. Now, so right from the beginning, if a child falls down, the mother will hit the floor and say, the
Yeah.
floor is a bad guy. It hurt your bum. And the child feels happy
Yeah,
that I
right.
did not walk properly, therefore fell down. No. The floor hit
is
me.
responsible. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
similarly, when we go forward, so this thinking built into astrology, and the first and the basic premise with which astrologers, not only in India, but across the world work is, our lives are controlled by the stars. So if something is not working, the stars are doing something, and we must do something to fix the stars so that things will begin to work.
Right.
My basic premise is, stars do not
Cannot be fixed.
control your destiny. Your destiny is not controlled by the stars. Not at all, not to the farthest.
So then what are you saying when you give astrological remedies? Then what are you saying?
No, so I come back a step before that and I say that these stars in their configuration, as they appear on your birth chart, which is the configuration of planets at the moment of your birth, that is only a reflective, a mirror-like instrument through which we can interpret the goings of your life. Your life is controlled not by your stars, not by your planets, but by the choices that you have made and will make. Therefore, the consequences that are already arisen or will arise, and a mix of that, of consequences, circumstances at that time put together, but certainly not in the stars. So, therefore, now just this shift in thinking creates a shift in remedies. So, standard astrological remedies: do this puja for this planet so many thousand times, do this havan for this planet, therefore the star will get okay, or do this fast on that day of that particular planet. If it doesn't work, probably too bad. Now let's look at the god which controls that planet. Something like that. Flip over to my side. The remedies that I provide are more tuned in to looking at choices that you're making currently vis-a-vis the choices you can make differently. The consciousness with which you're approaching life right now vis-a-vis the shift in consciousness
That is
you must
required.
require. Now an example. You'll say, give me an example. How? This is like any motivational speaker talking.
Right.
No. Astrology comes into play. The consciousnesses that I'm talking about, here I'm talking of mental consciousness, not the pure consciousness,
Yes.
but the mind frames with which you approach life can have can we can call them tags. We can tag them. So these 9 planets, we can tag them as 9 frames of mind. So there can be a frame of mind, a moon frame of mind, huh? A Mars frame of mind, a Mercury frame of mind, a Jupiter frame of mind, a
Yeah.
Venus frame of mind,
Right.
Saturn frame of mind. Also Rahu Ketu frame of mind. They are not planets, but they are 2 nodes
Right.
in the sky around, across the moon. Now, what are these frames of mind? They're archetypes, you can say, or templates. So sun, exactly sun, bright, hot, happening,
Yes.
wise, whatever. Moon, emotional. Mars, action, fire. Mercury, rational. Jupiter, reflective, wise. Venus, lot of fun. Saturn, lot of coldness and restraint and discipline, etc. Now, if someone's base frame given in the planet is defined by Venus, and someone is operating out of Jupiter frame, and therefore suffering several types of consequences, I will say, my dearest, please shift your frame. Get into Venus frame. For women, I tell them, please go and get your hairstyling done. Curl them up, wear nice glasses, spend some time
On
on
your
on
face.
your face, on your nails, change your clothing the way you're wearing. Become become a young woman, the youngest that you can be, in your mind, in your body, in your clothing. Just this. What happens when they look themselves in the mirror? A Venus frame is looking back as a biofeedback. They say, "I'm young, hip, and happening,"
Yeah. Yeah.
like your dearest. Like many even elderly women,
Right.
who
Absolutely.
have such a zest for life. That's the
Yeah.
Venus frame.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
similarly, remedies associated with that.
Right.
I will recommend, please go and learn Bollywood dancing, learning, not just dance at home. Learn the steps, or Zumba or something. And these will then kick in the Venus energy coming in. In the horoscope, it will create more of Venus stream, and it will unlock certain possibilities which were no longer there, and things begin to work, like getting a job, like getting a sale of a house done. All the mundane things which are reflected in the horoscope being blocked through Venus, by putting the Venus frame, you could unblock it, rather than doing a Venus japa and donating white sari to somebody in a temple.
Yeah. Yeah.
This one.
Okay. So it's a very sort of, I think, proactive way of altering mental frameworks as opposed to trying to fix the stars, like you
Yes.
said. But also, I think now, particularly in these times that we are living in India, there's been a sort of resurgence of curiosity and interest in religion, in dharma, in spirituality. There are a lot of podcasts around all these issues, right? And there is a lot of, I think, lens on the kind of work that, we have done, and, retreats and self reflection. So, what is your observation around all those things? Why is this happening now, and what does it mean for the youth?
There are many questions in your question.
Yeah.
The first thing is, why is this resurgence happening? This resurgence is happening, I will say, primarily due to 2 reasons. One reason, which is the most important reason, is a reason that belongs to fewer number of people seeking spirituality. The other reason, which is not the right reason to seek spirituality, but most people seek spirituality or spiritual things or information about that due to that. And these 2 reasons are: number one, the more important reason is that people in their seeking have come to an edge of understanding beyond which they know there is something, and yet they can't put a finger on what it is or how it is. At the same time, they are listening to so many stories about, in our tradition, from Puran, from Ramayana, from now with the Bhagwan Ram's
Yeah.
temple coming up, this idea of Ram, if I can say. And then around that, but him being the supreme being, him being seated in every heart. Who is Ram? What is Ram? This is a true seeking. Who is Ram? Who is Ram? What are we seeking? How must he be worshipped, if at all he should be worshipped? Where will I find him? These questions. Very true questions, but this side of questions are asked by very few people. On the flip side, if you look at it, the same thing, the flip side, there is a emotional euphoria, just a sense of buoyance, stimulation. The whole generation, and our generation and the newer generation even much more, we are a generation of stimulation. We live by stimulation. If there is less of stimulation, we call it boring.
We feel low.
We feel low. We are not stimulated enough. It's not exciting enough. FOMO. We are missing out on something, yes. And
we don't even know what that is.
We don't know what it is, but we are missing out.
Yeah.
And that's the reason we want to pick up the phone and want to check so many times. And we don't have enough attention spans, so it should be short. I asked you how long this interview will be. You said 1 hour or 2 hours.
Yeah.
I said, wow, will somebody listen to it or skip it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because people don't have that attention to listen to a conversation about something for 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, with that, what has happened? Bhagwan Ram or Ram Janambhumi or our tradition or everything is a new stimulation, because we can now talk something else about
true.
it.
That's
we can
true.
mix
It's a stimulation.
It's a stimulation.
It's a stimulation.
Yes.
It's a show.
It's a show.
It's a show.
Exactly.
It's a performance.
Yes.
So we have all, as a society, moved towards highly performative behavior.
Yes.
Highly performative expectations around oneself.
Yes.
So I think even our expectations from someone or some solution is very showy. Like,
Yes.
we want the dream house, we want the dream job, we want the dream car.
Yes.
We are not just asking for contentment.
No, not at
I
all.
don't think anyone comes to you to say that, listen, I'm okay, just make me content.
Yes. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. And I've explored that topic in my next book coming up about contentment. But coming back, we need to contrast a bit more, because the topic of Bhagwan Ram is so popular, and
it's very current. Yeah.
Very current.
Yeah.
Now, here you will see the difference. Same slogan or same slogan, we can say, Jai Shree Ram, is a beautiful, beautiful slogan for our dharma. Dharma simply means a way of life. Not only way, a quality of life or the truth of life. It is all of them put together. But dharma, to give you an example to explain what dharma is, gravity is the dharma of earth. Can you imagine? It's not only the quality, it's very essence.
Yeah.
It's its essence of earth.
Yeah.
Sapidity, the wetness, is dharma of water. So, what will be the dharma of a human being? Now, when we say Jai Shri Ram can be a dharma of human being, and I'm talking about human being.
Yeah.
Not merely who label themselves as Hindus, but everybody. You can translate Jai Shri Ram the way I'm saying in English, in Spanish, in Arabic. It will become your dharma. If you look at the meaning of Jai Shri Ram, simple. Jaya, prevalence. That which prevails over everything else. Jaya, victory. Victory basically means I am dominant. Dominant, prevailing. Simple. Jaya, prevailing, dominant. Shri, abundance. Ram, joy.
Prevalence of joy and abundance.
We can put another adjective in that. We can put it this way: may shared abundance and joy prevail.
May shared abundance and joy prevail. Jai Shri Ram.
That's
right.
That's
what the global meaning of that Could
Yes.
be.
Now translate into Arabic. I haven't done that. It might sound as if it is coming out of a tradition.
Right.
Translate into Spanish, translate into French. May shared abundance and joy prevail. Right now, it is in contrast with what is prevailing. Right now, shared abundance and joy is not prevailing.
Right.
We are not sharing abundance. We can buy 10 of more of these clothes, but we will not think of buying 100 of this and distributing it.
So, when you say this like this, when you break up this slogan like this, it just moves out of being only Hindu,
Yes.
only religious,
Yes.
only sort of, dominating like a kind of a very,
Yes.
limited
Yes.
understanding.
Yes.
And it goes out into a global understanding
Yes.
of oneness,
Yes.
sharing, community,
Yes.
collaboration,
Yes.
even.
Yes.
Isn't it?
But you turn it around, and if the understanding is not correct, and it is used only as a stimulant. So, in the first case, shared abundance and joy. Huh? So, Ram means joy. Ram means that in which one indulges, engages, and enjoys.
Lovely.
Ram is that which indulges, engages, and enjoys through each. That entity,
Lovely.
that consciousness is Ram. That in which we all dissolve through the act of infinite, indulgent enjoyment. That in which.
Lovely.
That is Ram. That's the Sanskrit literal meaning of that. Now imagine you turn it around. In the first case, Jai Shri Ram can be your chant, everyday chant, 108 malas. Jai Shri Ram, Shree Ram, Shree Ram, Shree Ram, Shree Ram. Absolutely, abundance, joy, abundance, joy, abundance, joy. What a beautiful chant. No problem at all. You will arrive into abundance and joy.
Lovely.
That is what it is. Now, flip it. Make it a cry, like a war cry. Jai Shri Ram.
Yes.
Say that, Jai Shri Ram. If you
Or
don't,
else.
or else. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is not Jai Shri Ram. That is the opposite of Jai Shri Ram. What is made in the popular politics.
Yes.
And I fold my hands and seek forgiveness here itself. Nobody should misunderstand me.
Yeah.
I'm totally from the
Yes.
Vedic tradition.
Yes, absolutely.
But Jai Shri Ram cannot be a war cry. Jai Shri Ram cannot be a war cry of any. Of course, Jai Shri Ram can be a group cry. If you're all together
It can
marching,
be an
exhilarating,
Yes.
of
It can-
joy, of enjoyment, of power, of goodness, of love. We are planting trees. We are bringing a heavy load of stone pillar to build a temple. We need power. It's a Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram. We keep going. But we will not use Jai Shri Ram for any destructive activity.
Yes. Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
what.
Yeah.
So on one side, Jai Shri Ram can be stimulating, which is perfect. On the other side, Jai Shri Ram could be calming when we are facing with lot of difficulties in our mind. All our negative thoughts are getting in there. Deeply to tune in with our breath. And again chant, Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram. May Ram prevail. May abundance and joy prevail over this clamor
Yeah,
of thoughts,
clamor of
and you will
thoughts,
see
yeah,
your
yeah.
clamor go down and you're filled with joy and abundance.
So, talking about in a completely different track, Pawan, that, let's take whips and chains, the concept of whips and chains, into the mythology and into the epics, because you have studied them so greatly and you would know. So, if you would think of Ram as the person that we know from the Ramayana, so what were his whips and chains? What would you say?
What were his whips and chains?
Yeah.
Well, in the beginning, at the outset, let me clarify that whips and chains both have bit of a difficult connotation.
Yes,
Chains
yes,
means
yes.
shackled,
Yes,
tight
yes,
like that.
yes.
And whips means something beating you up like that. Both are challenges that you face.
Yeah.
But if you flip them, they are not merely challenges, but guidelines.
Absolutely.
Now, whips are motivations, something that urges you, goads you. Whips and chains if I were to give another example or a visual, Ganesha with his two upper hands.
Yeah.
The left upper hand has a pasha, something to hold you back, the noose, the chain.
Yeah.
And this one has a goad to goad you. It's like a whip to keep you going.
Yeah.
Whips and chains form
Yeah.
that. So if you look at it from that perspective, chains become the containment principles of containment. Chain.
Yes. Yes.
In a very positive way, we need to be chained by certain positive commitments. If your commitments, a framework of commitments, non-negotiable commitments, can form our chains that keep us boundaries, or keep us focused on the track that we are in. Or you can call, they are the reins. Instead of chains, you can call them the reins. Same thing, exactly same. And whips are our motivators. So in that context, if you call it Maryada Purushottam, Bhagwan Shree Ram, he is known as Maryada. Maryada is a chain. Maryada is the boundary.
Yeah.
And he was Purushottam. He was he was the epitome of living up to the Maryada, to the boundaries. Never crossed it.
Yeah.
The boundary of being a son, the boundary of being a ruler, the boundary of being a husband, a father, whatever. He was an epitome of Maryada.
So you think that the resurgence of this whole Jai Shri Ram and this movement towards reclaiming the value of Ram, do you think some of that is very essential now because it's missing in our society, and we have become so scattered now that we have lost track of those boundaries or that Maryada, and this is a movement towards that now?
We can say that, provided most people, as I said, there are two sets of people, one the true seekers and one the large populace, masses. If we just use this if we just use Jai Shri Ram to validate what is there already in our heads and ideas that we already have, and we think now those ideas have got a victory, will be far from
the truth.
From the truth.
Yeah.
But if we understand that this is shared joy and abundance, and we start taking care of those who help at home and share some abundance with them.
Right.
Abundance. I'm not talking of tipping them 100 rupee, but
Right.
sharing, taking care of their daughter's wedding or education, or looking at them as to how can I uplift this
Someone
woman or a
else,
man who is helping me at work or driving me to work or whatever. How can I make
Their
a
lives
compliment
better.
to my maid to make her smile
Yeah.
and say, you made such a great paratha today.
Yeah.
Lovely, or something like that, to bring a smile. Am I not only saying, may shared and abundance prevail, may shared abundance and joy prevail, may shared abundance and joy prevail. This means nothing.
Yeah.
I must make it prevail.
Yeah. Yeah.
With my gardener, with my colleague, with my friend, with my anybody around
Society
me.
at large.
Society. Sharing joy, sharing abundance, sharing joy, sharing abundance.
Yeah.
Then this mantra will become lived.
Yeah.
It will become living Jai Shri Ram.
Yeah. So tell me, in your life, given that you have chosen this path of deep self-examination, as well as you have, studied the scriptures, not only the Indian traditions, but you have also been exposed to several other Western traditions, like our gurus and, his guru, Swami Ram. You have also exposed yourself to other traditions, so you can compare, right?
Yes.
So what are some of the key takeaways that you have with you about our tradition, other traditions, Western traditions, and, coming from different backgrounds? What are some of your key takeaways?
In the book, the book that got written by me, Living Hanuman, it's a syncretic commentary on Hanuman Chalisa, and the only so far written on such a beautiful text, such a important, such a powerful prayer of a billion Hindus. In that book, there is a whole section answering this topic, the unifying streams of world religious
Religion.
traditions. Unifying streams. And in that, I have studied not only different world religions, major world religions, but also minor world religions, native traditions within Africa, Aboriginal traditions within Australia. And not only that, I'm taking even the tradition of Western psychology as a tradition, the belief systems in that,
Oh, okay.
or the scientific temper as a tradition, the rationalism. I don't believe what I don't see. I believe only what I see, experiment, and can prove it in a lab. Atheism is also a tradition. I don't believe in any god, etc. All of these I studied. And what I have done and what is dear to my heart is not to do a chart, a table of differences between them. That can be done
Yeah.
by learned people of comparative religion and other things. But what I've tried to do is look at the
Similarities.
commonalities where they all converge, all of them converge. So, one of the converging points that I found within all traditions, when it came to taming the mind, you can say, or calming the mind, was to bring your awareness to your breath. All of them, common.
Amazing.
Breath work. And through that breath, because in one way we relate breath with prana, the life force. There is no, a piece of wind is not known as breath.
Yes.
It's the wind which flows with the
With,
prana,
yeah.
is the breath. And that prana is none other as Hanumanji himself. He is also known as Mahaprana.
Really.
So I have interpreted Hanumanji as being the prana, the thread of breath, which weaves all beings, not only human beings, but all living beings. Even a leaf of a tree or a blade of grass breathes. So that was my common understanding. And when you look at it closely, if you just give an example of Christianity, for example, the whole Christian tradition is based upon the triad of Father,
Trinity, yeah.
Son, and the Holy Spirit. Father, God, Son, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. Here, Holy Spirit. Now, if you go deep into that, spirit, the word spirit is derived from a Latin word spiritus. And spiritus means the breath. Father, Son, and the Holy Breath. And there you get a thread.
Yeah.
Enough. We have a thread.
Yeah, that's true. But so, the breath is also, such a fundamental, not only does it control our, bodies and our minds and our nervous system, but also it is such a important thing to control our emotions with, isn't it? And
Yes.
that's what we learned in the yoga school of
Yes.
the Himalayan yoga school.
Yes.
That the breath is the fundamental connection
Yes.
between the mind and the body.
Yes.
You know?
And not only that, let me give away a very well-known secret here. We understand breath to be an involuntary function. While you and me have been speaking, we have been breathing
Right.
without even knowing. We have not done anything to it. But the moment you begin to become aware of the flow of breath, by becoming aware of the flow of breath, breath becomes a voluntary function. Same thing. So you'll say, what's the big deal about it? No. The big deal is, by becoming a voluntary function, your conscious mind gets an access to the brainstem by which breath is controlled. Otherwise, there is no way the mind can get a conscious entry or access
the
into the brainstem. So what will happen if I get access to brainstem? Well, you will get control over your source code. You will be able to make certain shifts that you would not have been able to make otherwise. Impossible to make fundamental shifts without going to the brainstem. But just by following your breath deeply, you'll be able to touch it. You'll be able to replace your core beliefs. I'm not good. I'm fat. I don't look nice. I'm not as intelligent. I'm not so lucky to get $1 million. All those core beliefs. How will you replace them? By riding on the flow of breath and following it deep through, you will reach there and you'll be able to plug that belief and replace it by the next belief.
So, a lot of spiritual practices and a lot of things that you have studied and you have given as remedies to other people are based on what you have learned in the scriptures, right?
Yes.
So, for example, negative self-talk and inner critic is a very real problem that is all over social media, right?
Yes.
I mean, low self-esteem, self-worth, all of these issues. What we rarely realize is that all of these things existed even in those times. And there were studied approaches on how to address these core issues, right? Without social media, without access to so many other things, without access to Google or anyone, it was part of the education that was given to young children and given through life, right?
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about that, the study of scriptures, why that is important and recommended, and what can we really do to bring that back?
Yes. Thank you for asking me this question first, because this is something that I'm currently doing. We have a family of seekers, about 120 across the world, who are on a journey together. And we are doing exactly this, cleaning our minds, preparing our minds for a more beautiful flowering of our own selves. So it is a lot of work, or more than that, a certain sincere awareness that is necessary, an intention, a recognition that there is a lot of chatter going on, intention that I must get rid of it, and a clarity as to why should I get rid of it? What will happen if the chatter goes away? Even if it remains, let it remain. I don't care. Yeah. So all of these are separate conversational topics in themselves. But to give you an example of how scriptures step in, I will not give an example of scriptures that less people have studied. I'll give an example of a simpler scripture, and I consider Sri Hanuman Chalisa as part of our scriptural literature.
Right.
Also because most of our viewers, especially if they are from the Indian Hindu tradition, they might be also aware of this word. Even if they are from other religious tradition, they would have heard the name Hanuman Chalisa. They would have heard.
Right.
The first line of Hanuman Chalisa, Shri Guru Charan Saroj Raj, Nij Man Mukur Sudhar. So Nij Man Mukur Sudhar. Nij, my. Man, mind. Mukur, mirror. Sudhar, clean. I clean the mirror of my mind. Sudhar also will include not only cleaning, but to hold it correctly. Suppose the mirror of the mind is very clean, but it is held towards the drain. It will reflect a dirty drain. Hold it towards the sky, it will reflect the sky. Like Aldous Huxley has said, mind is a mirror. So, Nij Man Mukur Sudhar. So simple. I clean the mirror of my mind. Set up right in the first line. And how? How will I do it? Shri Guru Charan Saroj Raj. With this, I will clean that. What is this? Shri. Shri here is a title of greatness for the Guru. Shri Guru. Charan, feet. Saroj. The lotus-like feet of my Guru. The pollen dust of that I will take that and
And
scrub the
clean
mirror of my mind. Now, there's a big question. Where will I find the guru's feet dust? There won't be enough, even if I found it. So it is not referring to the feet. This understanding has to be considered. Charan simply means knowledge. In the Indian Sanskrit Vedic tradition, movement is attributed to knowledge. So Shri Guru Charan means the knowledge given by Shri Guru. Okay. But what kind of knowledge? A knowledge that makes me lotus-like, makes me get rooted in the world, reality, and makes me blossom like a lotus and stay dry or stay not wet in spite of being immersed in the water around myself. So this particular type of knowledge gained from a tradition of sages. Here guru is a generic word referring to the wisdom tradition.
Right.
That with that particular knowledge, I take my takeaway out of that, my bowl of dust of this
Yes.
knowledge. And then by
And clean
repeatedly applying it on my mirror, the mirror of my mind, I cleanse it and learn how to hold it. Which way should I? Should I hold the mirror towards the next telephone that has been launched or the next
Right.
dress? Which way am I holding the mirror? Because you will find many yogis are more greedy than normal people.
Yes.
Their mirrors of mind are absolutely clean, but they are looking at the next airplane. Which disciple is going to give me that?
Yeah. Right. That's true.
But the
So-
point
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I want to make this point here is that cleansing the mirror of your mind is not a do-it-yourself activity. Please do not trust your own mind generating some ideas about how it can be cleaned and use that. By referring to the tradition that you said, here it is saying, please tap into the wisdom tradition that you trust. You could trust the Christian wisdom tradition. You could trust Hare Krishna movement wisdom tradition. You can trust the yoga wisdom tradition or any other wisdom tradition where generations of sages have worked on a methodology to cleanse your mind. From there, take help and use that and not use it. Einstein said, the mind, which is a problem which has been created by one level of thinking, cannot be solved by the same.
Right.
The same mind cannot cleanse the mind which has made it dirty in the first place.
So there is, this is, I mean, you kind of already answered the question I was asking, that the modern world, the problem is that this highly developed sense of self and an ego that is sort of isolated and is deciding what is right, what is wrong. They have their own parameters of judgment, right? And we have increasingly moved away from what we see as tradition. So-called now, all tradition is sort of seen as regressive, toxic, outdated, isn't it? I mean, the new deities are the latest iPhone, like you said, and the latest technology and AI. I mean, these are all the deities that we worship. Whereas if you would say that, you go back to wisdom 2000 years ago and how they dealt with anger, it would be like, why? If I just buy the new phone, I'm fine. So our understanding of the world has become very limited, very bound by the material. So isn't it true that some of, or in fact, most of the problems that arise with humanity for which they seek remedy is because they are totally located in the material world, and very little of our living and learning is actually located in the spiritual world?
You are absolutely right. If I sum up, I would say that as human beings, as a whole, we all operate out of a space of instinct of fear and survival. Out of instinct. And even though we have AI, even though we have all the phones and gadgets and all the aircrafts and all technologies, all science is all focused upon catering to our survival needs.
Right.
It makes our life more comfortable. And then more and more of that, many and many of that, something like that. The big need is to shift, to create or enable a shift in human consciousness from instinct to intention. That will be the real evolutionary leap.
That's true.
Instinct to intention.
Right.
From living out of instinct of survival and fear to the intention of co-creating a more compassionate world.
Right.
An intention of making this world more compassionate, an intention of being available to do whatever I can to bring joy and abundance to others, Jai Shree Ram,
Right.
rather than finding out what next can I get
gain?
out of that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So that is the root of problem. In fact, again, thank you for asking this question, because this is the thing that I'm right now working with. We have I Value Foundation
Right.
that we have just grounded.
I remember.
IVALYOU. And that's also the epilogue of that book
Right.
that was written.
Right.
So I value you. This is the one word I value, one single word I feel can resolve our problems. The moment I begin to value you, I step out of my I
Yeah.
ego
Yeah.
and I operate out of my value for you, and you do the same. We create a different world, a different circumstance between us.
And also different relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
The question will be, what may I do for you, rather
Right.
than checking
Yeah.
what can you do for
Give
me.
Right. So, also the fact that, the world has changed so much since the times that the scriptures were written. So there have been these 4 yugs, right? The Satyug and Dwapar and Treta and Kalyug. So now we are at the end. Are we at the end of Kalyug yet? What can you predict? Where are we going and what is going to happen before the whole cycle begins again?
First, let me make a minor correction. After Satyug comes Treta.
Treta.
It's
Then
opposite.
Dwapar.
And then Dwapar.
Okay.
There is a story also behind that as to why that flip happened.
Ah.
Logically, it should be Satyug, Dwapar and
Yes.
Treta, but the flip took place.
Yeah.
And the third came before second.
Ah.
And then Kali Yuga,
Right.
that we are living right now. The question whether are we at the end of Kali Yuga or not, let me tell you, in every civilization, there were these very sweet thinkers and wise people for whom all the negative going on in the society, negative violence and things like that, used to be too overwhelming. And they would come up with the idea that all of this is one day going to all end. It's getting too much. Huh? And so therefore you had the concept of the coming of Messiah, for that matter, that Christ will come and redeem us.
Right.
And then there are Jews who don't believe that. For them, they are still waiting for the Messiah. And here
They
the
really
Christians,
need one now.
and the Christians are waiting for the second coming of Christ.
Yeah.
No? And for us Hindus, Shree Ram came, Krishna came, Buddha came. According to Hindus,
Right.
Buddha was the 9th avatar. And
Now
even-
we're waiting for Kalki, is it? Or Kalki
no,
has
so
come?
there's split. One is Kalki avatar for the Hindus to complete our 10. For the Buddhist also, Buddha is not enough. Maitreya Buddha is coming.
Yes.
Right? So we always wait for a better time. And in some way, we feel that someone will come and set it right. Somebody, as an electrician, will come and fix, and then the lights will come on. And we wait. When the lights go off, we all sit and wait. Maybe in some time, light is going to come.
Yeah.
When will light come?
Right.
It is, when in India electricity
Yes.
goes off,
Yeah.
if you ask when will electricity come, it is as difficult to answer that
Yeah.
as it is to answer when will Kali Yuga end, and again light will come. But we are the ones who will bring that light. We will bring it. The next avatar will be as a wave of consciousness in each one of us. Maitreya Buddha is not going to be a single personality, nor Kalki. He will this light being, and the light being will be, what may I do for this person in front? When that becomes my natural inner dialogue,
That will be the.
I should know I have that has arrived.
Yeah.
And collectively, in more and more people, if more and more people, instead of saying hi, hello, start saying I value,
Right.
and that becomes the greeting.
Yeah.
I value.
Yeah.
I value Nivedita. I value Pawan.
Yeah.
Why not? Instead of saying hello, hello means nothing.
I value.
I value.
Right. Right.
So at that time, you can say that light is on.
Yeah.
We have already arrived.
Yeah.
We have arrived into a space that we have been waiting for.
So, would you say that in your, I mean, you as a person have tried to marry as closely as possible your profession with who you are personally, and that's the kind of synergy that you want to see happening to other people? Would you
Absolutely
be able to
right.
say that?
Yes, this has been again a great grace. It doesn't happen all the time. Japanese call it ikigai.
Right.
It's not easy to find your ikigai.
Right.
I'm sure you are in your
Yes,
ikigai.
right.
I'm in my ikigai. You know,
Yeah,
we
it's
love
not-
what we
yeah.
do. We do it for a living. We help people out of that, and we also get paid for it. So
Right.
we have our
Right.
all the four components of
Yeah.
ikigai.
Yeah.
And yes, by great grace of Guru, I have been able to be blessed with a space in which I can live my ikigai. And to answer a question that you raised just a few questions ago, it got skipped, was yes, our tradition, especially the Vedic tradition and other traditions of the world, I don't consider any tradition to be less or more. All are wisdom traditions, Zen traditions, all traditions, Christian Orthodox, Russian Orthodox traditions, and all of that, Greek Orthodox traditions. These are all very rich traditions. All these traditions are very rich, are very potent, but yes, they need to be reinterpreted for modern times.
Yeah.
The practices have become outdated, whether it is in Hindu tradition, but here I will kudos to our collective vibrant tradition. We keep reinventing on our feet. We do a lot of things. We say, if there is no flowers, no problem, we'll do it with rice petals. Oh, there's no Ganga Jal, doesn't matter, get some water from your tap. Ganga cha Yamuna cheva Godavari Saraswati. We invoke all the rivers with our this finger, Ankush Mudra, bring it into the water. Now this becomes Ganga Jal. Om Pavitra Pavitro Vacha. We work, We don't wait to go to Haridwar to get Ganga Jal to do the puja.
Yeah.
So we are quite adaptive,
Proactive.
and proactive. But I think there is a big need for scholars of these traditions and keepers of these wisdom traditions to come forward and create an applied wisdom tradition within their traditions, as well as a confluenced, shared understanding of spirituality,
Yeah.
a shared tradition, to build a shared tradition with human wellness at the center, to build a tradition like that, drawing from all the streams of different rich wisdom traditions, which scholars of those traditions come and offer together.
Yeah.
And then this particular one could really become the religion for humanity.
So, if I were to ask you what are some of the most blessed experiences or encounters, esoteric encounters that you have had, give me a couple of things which are nothing short of a miracle. And I know you have had so many. I can say with full certainty you have actually met people who have lived hundreds of years and who've done. So give me a couple of these incidents and tell me what you took away from it.
Well, really, I must say, I have been blessed with many of these
Right.
incidents. But when you ask me, I lose all of them. I
Yeah.
don't recall them.
Yeah.
Recall so many very powerful miracles that I have experienced. One of the miracles while writing the book that happened, Living Hanuman.
Right.
So I come from the tradition of Sri Vidya, have been worshipping God as the Divine Mother. And while I was writing the book, the book starts with the word Shri. So I always thought this is certainly a text in Sri Vidya tradition, but who am I to say it? How can I say this confidently that this is a text in Sri Vidya tradition? Nobody will take me seriously. So one day I was in an ashram in Surat, and there was a beautiful mother, must be a volunteer. She was washing dishes. So I also, after my food, went into the kitchen to put my dish into the. She said, "Son, put it in here." So I was keeping and just washing my hands in the sink like that. She said, "I heard you are writing a book on Hanuman Chalisa." Guruji was saying me that Gurudev was alive then. That Gurudev of that ashram, he was alive, Babaji. So he must have told her that. So I was a bit taken back that
How does she know?
so ordinary looking, the judgment that kicks in.
Right.
How does she
No.
even care or know that I'm
Right.
writing a book? Does she even care to ask me that? So I said, yes, Amaji, I'm writing a book on Hanuman Chalisa. Ah, Hanuman Chalisa, very beautiful. Sing the Hanuman Chalisa. She says that. So I said, okay. Shri Guru Charan Saroj Raj Nijman Mukur Sudhar. But as I started saying the first sentence, that also with least interest, because I said, okay, I will sing it just to honor her word. She started singing Kasturi Sinduri. I'm please pardon me for this. Sinduri Dhuliki. Please pardon me for this. This is a name. She started singing it. This is a name of the mother in Lalita Sahasranam. One of the 1,000 names of mother. This is a long name of the mother. Imagine it's so long that I cannot, repeat it.
Yeah.
And as I did not understand the meaning straight away, but I got goosebumps.
Yeah.
So I said, Amma, say that again. And I went in and checked the meaning on the Google. The meaning was the dust of whose feet. Here it is, the dust of Guru's feet. There it says, to the mother, it says, the dust of whose feet fill the parting of the hair of the Vedas.
Amazing.
Huh? Exactly the same. And I said, then now this must be, there is a clue here that prompted me to go over all the 1,000 names of the mother. And in the book, there is a detailed tabulation of a phrase of Hanuman Chalisa compared to 3 or 4 names of the mother in Lalita Sahasranam. And I have commented in the book that it seems as if Tulsidas ji was chanting the name of the mother. He was dipping his pen in the ink pot of Lalita Sahasranam. And when he was writing, out came Hanuman Chalisa out of that. That was a miracle of understanding, a very unique understanding that Hanuman Chalisa is a text, can be considered a text within the context of Sri Vidya, and it brings in together at least 2 major streams or 3 major streams: Shaivism, Vaishnavism, Shaktism. Hinduism itself is divided in several religions, if you may call.
Yes.
Here 3 major ones, Shakta, Shaiva, Vaishnav, come together just by Amma uttering
that word.
Yes.
That's amazing. And there was another, the little bit that I have, with you, gone to that ashram of Barfani Baba.
Yes.
So tell the viewers a little bit about Barfani Baba and how he, evolved.
Yes. So the one whom we met is also one of my gurus. Prabhudas Ji Maharaj.
Mm.
He's still there, though in my mind, he is still in his 50s, but now he must be 80 or something. He was, in his previous life, he was a neurologist from Calcutta University, a gold medalist practicing in London. And then by his guru's permission or request or order, he immediately dropped everything, and he's now the presiding sage in Dudhadhari Barfani ashram.
Yes.
And he himself, so he is truly the confluence of science and spirituality.
Absolutely.
You can go and speak to him, though he speaks very little, but whenever he can and he wishes, he can really enlighten you on this confluence part. But at the same time, he doesn't take meals. He is an example of long-term fasting. Just has a little milk, some fruit sometimes, but doesn't eat much, doesn't sleep much. So he demonstrates that it is possible to live with very little food and very little sleep. 2 hours, 1 hour, we don't know. All the time there is light on and somebody or the other is sitting with him. So we do not know.
And basically, there are very few beings like this who actually live and show how little you need to survive.
Yes.
And they are so involved with their bhakti and their sadhana that is the fuel that is actually keeping them going.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Absolutely. May I add here that we as human beings are wired for survival, not for success, mind you, but for survival. It is enough for us to have enough and relax. That is what we are wired for. But what we did was that we redefined enough as infinite lot.
That's true.
So when we say that there is enough for every man's need, but the whole world is not enough for one man's greed. 73 people in this world who can fit into a coach control more than half of the world's wealth is a fact. So this, and it's not enough for them. They're still growing.
And we are all part of that their growth, actually. It's not really our growth. We are all contributing to their growth.
So
and I also must say here that you and your wife, particularly Sadhana, she opted out of a very highly paid, lucrative, mainstream corporate career. She was a complete globetrotter, handling I don't know how many things. And because of our Guru's grace and Swami Vedbharati's request, she bowed out of that and took hold of the position that he wanted her to have in leading the organization. So please talk about that a little.
She's now Director Operations at Shree Ram Himalayan University, looking at all the operations of operative part of that organization, apart from academics, the hospital, which is 1200 bed hospital, the research center, nursing college, medical college, and the whole community around that, rural development institute and all of that, and such immense work. And she brings her corporate understanding and experience, and she has brought in such valuable changes, contributed to that as her humble offering. I'm so proud of what she's been able to do, apart from, of course, being a trustee of Gurudev's organizations worldwide. And taking care that those organizations function. She's much more a functional woman. So she takes care of all the infra running well, so that people and seekers who come are facilitated. She's the back end of all of that. So that is again grace. It is all grace. When you are ready, an opportunity to serve, an opportunity to live from the principle of I value, and opportunities to allow this thought, what may I do for the other, is offered to us. Yes, sometimes life can be so challenging that you don't have a margin. What may I do for the other? Because you are running and that's the practical reality.
Right.
So But even while you are running around, you can still have very small windows in which you can make someone smile. There is a very good quote which says, "Masjid तो बहुत दूर है, चलो रास्ते में एक बच्चे को हंसाया जाए." The mosque is far away.
Right.
Let's make a child smile on the way. At least we can make a child smile on the way if you don't have the time to go to the mosque.
Right. No, I think the windows for personal growth are many.
Yes.
We just don't open them enough.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Isn't it? So thank you so much for coming here, Pawan, and allowing me to relive so much of, the times that we have, lived together, talked, discussed. I don't know whether you did, but I was having a lot of these flashback moments. And it's really been a delight to explore all that and learn so much from you about, what you've been doing and how you've grown and how your understanding has not only taken up and flowered everything that you had sown in those times, but it's taken it to a whole new direction. So thank you very much.
I'm so grateful to be here. So grateful. This has been such an enriching conversation. It will stay with me. And I sincerely hope and pray that whoever listens to it, all the listeners, viewers, will get benefited by
Thank
this.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.